Hi, my creative friends. Well, today we're going to create a little more love in the world by making pocket hugs. Because I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like the world could use a hug right about now. And I think I could too. And I couldn't decide on just one aesthetic. So we're going with dried flowers and little miniature seascapes with shells and sand from the beaches here in Florida. And I'm going to share with you step by step how I created these, because it's all about the layers and a little bit of trial and error. So I've got you covered. Grab your crafty supplies and let's get busy. I got this great set of molds on Amazon. It came in a 2-pack, which is going to be really handy as much as I began using these. And they're the perfect size for pocket hugs. I'm also going to be using Let's Resin's UV Resin hard type. And you'll definitely want a 2-sided UV light for this project so that you can equally cure both sides, because you're going to be putting some solid pieces in these. And you want that light to be able to penetrate both top and bottom to cure these adequately. And it even comes with this little platform, which I'm just going to build my hearts right on top of. And then all I have to do is put my magnetic top on and cure them. You want to build these in layers. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down a clear layer of UV resin. It's really cold in the studio, so I've got a lot more bubbles than I normally would. But I'm going to use my lighter to help pop those bubbles. Isn't this flower gorgeous? I'm going to put that straight into the resin. Now, normally, in past experience, when I've done this, I've created bubbles. And you're going to see what happens and how to solve that more effectively during my second method, but I wanted to show you this first so that you could kind of learn along with me. So I'm just building my little bouquet of flowers. I'm used to building my layers from back to front, not from front to back, and it's kind of hard for me because I can't see what's going on what's going to be the front side of this. And the problem is you can't see if there's any bubbles trapped under there until you've cured it. So I get that first layer down and I'm just going to pop this under my light for 2 minutes. It is cured and ready for my next layer. I'm thinking I want a little bit of color behind my flowers, so I'm going to mix some UV resin with some resin dye. And a lot of you ask where to find the supplies that I use. I always list everything I can in the description below my video, and there's discount codes for Let's Resin products and links to everything that I can get you links for, so it's really easy to find everything. Gonna just pop those bubbles again, put it under the light for another 2 minutes, and I want the back a little darker yet, so I'm gonna mix up some more pigment and pour this on the back. And I can already see some bubbles going on in there, but this is our practice round. Cure that again, and okay, the reveal. Now we get to see the front side. And yep, we've got a big old bubble. Now there are ways to remedy this situation, but I don't know that I'm going to waste my time or resin on it. Instead, let's move on and show you the way I should have done this before, that I've done in the past, and it works really well. I first take some UV resin and put it on my flowers and cure it before placing it in the resin. And that helps keep some of those bubbles from appearing because you don't have that porous material going on. It's not perfect, but it definitely works better. So go ahead and put another layer of UV resin down, just like before. And this time we're going to put in our already resined flower. And hope for the best, because again, I cannot see the front of this to know if there's any bubbles trapped under there. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and pop it out before I finish the back. so that I don't waste resin on it if there's a huge bubble in it. And it's perfect. It worked so much better having already sealed in that flower with UV resin. And I think this needs a little something something. So I'm gonna take some Gold Glitter UV Resin by J. Diction and put this as the backdrop on our little rose. Pop that under the light. And what do you think of this one? It's kind of elegant looking, right? But I think in the next one, I'm going to make more of a bouquet of flowers. And we're going to use that same process of building our bouquet, covering it with UV resin, curing it before we place it into the mold. And I'd really like to send a special hug out to my creative crew members. I really appreciate you and the extra support and love. So thank you, thank you. And now we just rinse and repeat. We're going to put in a layer of clear resin. Add our flowers. And I think this one needs some sparkle behind it too. So I'm going to take my Glitz Glitter by Doris, mix that with some clear UV resin, and put that in as the back. And as frustrating as it is to not be able to see the front of these while I'm working on them, it's oh so satisfying when I flip them over and they look great. And after curing this one, it turned out beautiful. I think this might be my favorite one. And how adorable is this on a little pocket hug card? All right, let's move on to our miniature seascapes. Some of these sea critters I bought, like the little starfish. On this first one, I'm starting with some clear resin, and I'm just going to place my little shells and starfish, trying to get my brain to remember I'm looking at the back, not the front. And if you love to collect seashells and beachcomb like I do, this is a perfect, easy project for you. And you can just have so much fun creating these. Now I'm going to take some of this sand that I have collected just as is and sprinkle it down in my still wet resin before I cure it under the light. And now I'm going to take a little bit of clear resin and mix it with some of my Casting Craft white pigment. Just give that a little mix. And now I'm going to apply some clear resin over my sand and shells before adding in that white. I'm going to pop this under the UV light and then move on and begin mixing my sea colors using this resin dye. And I'm going to mix the blue and green together to kind of get the color I want. And just pour that in. So once I get the first bit poured, I'm going to mix up a different shade using those same colors, just so that it has some gradient in the sea colors. And you can see here how the blue isn't really incorporating into this UV resin. And that is because this is UV resin and not epoxy resin. So I know how to make this work, and I'll show you. I'm going to go ahead and add in some blue UV resin. This is an already pigmented UV resin, so you don't have to worry about mixing it. Add some more white in there. And I want you to see the oils that come up from that resin pigment. But don't worry, all you have to do is put a clear coat of UV resin over it and it will seal it in and it will be fine. I've done this a lot of times in my other projects and it worked out beautifully. And it even gives it a pretty cool effect. So if you have a bunch of resin pigment on hand, go ahead and give that a try. And here's what our first one looks like. I think it's really pretty and it'll make a great pocket hug, but I can definitely improve on this. This time I'm going to add some white to my first layer so that some of the waves are lapping up over the seashells. Place my shells. And now I'm going to make up my own sand. So I'm going to take some of that glitz glitter, some of my sand from the beach, and a little bit of Aztec Gold mica pigment powder, and mix that all together to give me a different golden sand look. And now that's more what I'm going for right here. I'm gonna put that over my still uncured UV resin and shells and pat it down in there. Now I'm gonna add a little bit more white to the top of my sand and cure it. Now to mix up our sea colors, you can change the gradient and colors all you want. And again, going in with some blue UV resin, blending that all together, adding the white, give it a cure, and then again, put on a clear coat on the back. Pop the bubbles, one more cure for 2 minutes, and here's what we've got. I've got to tell you, I am obsessed. I love this. The glittery sand, the pink shells, the white waves, the dimension in the layers. I don't know about you guys, but I am in love with this. And I don't love many of my projects that I make, but I love this. Now I'm really excited and amped up about this, so I'm going to keep playing, keep trying different ideas with my layering and my shells and my waves, and show you what we get. And I found that it helps if you tip your light or your mold up, because I want to get more sand down in the bottom of the heart. Again, I'm just going through the steps, adding my layers, adding my white pigment, mixing up colors for the ocean. And here's what this one ends up looking like. It's super pretty. I like the shells in the other one, but I like the sand in this one. I just need to figure out how to combine them both. But look at all the swirly waves. Another really pretty pocket hug that I think someone would love to have. Well, now that my wheels are turning, I want to make some white sparkly sand. So I take my same sand, some white mica powder, my glitter, and I'm going to get out some more of my pigments and UV resin colors and just go crazy and have fun, because it's okay to color outside of the lines. In my book anyway. I'm going to get a little assembly line going in this one, and I'm going to speed things up a bit for you guys because I think you get the gist of it by now. These are so easy and creative, and it would make such a simple, loving gesture to give to someone. And I'm telling you, these would sell like no one's business. I might have to go into the pocket hug seascape making business. What do you think? So I'm going to do 2 with white sand and 1 with my golden sand. Let's do an emerald green. I think that will really pop against that gold sand. And yes, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make a pink ocean, because why not? Pink and purple, just like a sunset. And on my third one with the white sand, I'm just going to use UV colored resin, blue and green. And of course that white mixture that we've made up. And I think I'll turn one of them into a magnet, because why not have a pocket hug and a magnet all in one? Then not only is it a loving gift, but a practical gift. Top those off with some resin, plop that magnet down in the one. Normally I would put the magnet on afterwards because of the UV light not curing it, but we'll see if this works. And here's what they look like. I like them, however, my waves I feel like are too structured. They need to be a little more varied. So practice makes perfect, right? And here's our pink and purple one. These do need a little bit of sanding because I was getting careless with my resin, but you can sand that off really easily. And I wanted to use that scallop shell, so I went ahead and made another one with that. They're all different. And then I had these little pearl beads, and I thought, why not put a pearl in it? And of course now I'm thinking of all the things I could be putting in these. But here's what we've got. Totally obsessed. And I hope that I've inspired you to get creative and crafty in whatever you do. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.